Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Leadership Launchpad, where we talk about all things leadership on the field, in the pool, and in life. I'm your host, Coach Kevin Pierce, and I just want to say right off the top, thank you for being here. Whether you're a coach, a parent, a teacher, or a young leader tuning in, I'm honored to have this time with you. Today's episode is one that gets right to the heart of what I believe coaching is all about. Three simple words: coach the person, not just the player. Now, those words might sound like a catchphrase you'd see on a poster in a locker room, but I promise you, they're a game changer. And if you coach long enough, if you work with kids long enough, sooner or later you'll find yourself in a moment that tests how seriously you take that idea. I want to start today with a story. A few years ago, I had this swimmer, and we'll call her Emma. She had all the tools: talent, drive, competitiveness. She was the kind of athlete every coach gets excited about. You write their name on the lineup card and smile because you know you're getting big points that day. But midway through the season, something changed. She started showing up late. She seemed distracted. Her times were slipping, and her energy was low. And I noticed she was withdrawing from the team. Now, the easy reaction, and the one I might have defaulted to early on in my coaching career, would have been to get on her about it and push her harder, remind her of her commitment to the team, and maybe even sit her for a meet. But something didn't feel right, and I'm thankful I trusted that feeling. So after practice one day, I asked, Emma, can you hang back for a few minutes? We sat on the bleachers, and I looked her in the eyes and I said, forget about swimming for a second. How are you doing? She didn't answer right away, and her eyes welled up. And she told me what was really going on. Her parents were going through a divorce. School was a mess. She was barely sleeping. And every time she came to practice, she felt like she was dragging a weight behind her. That moment broke me a little bit because I realized I almost missed it. I almost treated her behavior as a discipline issue instead of what it really was: a kid crying out for help in the only way that she knew how. From that day forward, I made a promise to myself. I would never coach performance at the expense of the person again. And Emma, she didn't finish the season with a bunch of personal bests, but she finished it with a strong support system, with her head held high, and with a coach who she knew had her back no matter what the stopwatch said. Let me give you another one. This one's about a boy named Chris. Not the fastest kid on the team, not the loudest either. In fact, he was the kind of athlete that could easily fly under the radar if you weren't paying attention. Always on time, always respectful, but never the star. One day I noticed him encouraging a freshman who was struggling. He had put his hand on his shoulder, gave him a little pep talk, and walked him through the set. I pulled Chris aside later and said to him, you know, that leadership you showed today, that's the kind of thing that makes championship teams. And when I said that, his face lit up. I mean, it absolutely lit up. And he said, Coach, no one's ever really said that to me before. And that's when it hit me. Sometimes the most powerful coaching we do isn't on the field. It's on those quiet one-on-one moments where we see a kid not for their stats, but for their soul. You want to know the best part? That kid, he's now coaching youth swimmers in our community. And you better believe he's doing it the same way, with heart, with empathy, with eyes that look beyond the performance. So here's the question: how do we build this into our programs? How do we make sure we're coaching the whole person, not just the athlete we see at practice? I'll share with you a few things that have worked for me. Number one, start with stories, not drills. At the beginning of each season, I take time to really get to know my athletes. I ask about their families, what they like to do outside of sports, their favorite movie, their biggest fear. When you know a kid's story, you can coach them with more grace. Number two, model vulnerability. If we want our athletes to open up, we've got to first. I tell my teams about the times I've struggled, times I made mistakes, times I let my emotions get the best of me. Creates a space where honesty is valued over image. Number three, create checkpoints that have nothing to do with performances. Every couple of weeks, I'll pull aside 2 to 3 athletes just to ask how life is going. No pressure, no agenda, just how are you? Sometimes they say they're just fine, and that's okay. But every now and then, they tell you something that makes all the difference. And look, I get it. Some people will say we don't have time for this. We've got goals. We've got a season to win. But let me challenge that thinking. Winning doesn't mean much if we lose kids along the way. You know what lasts longer than medals? Moments. Moments where they feel seen, moments where they feel safe, moments where they're reminded that they're more than just a number in the lineup. Let me share with you one more story. There was a young man on our team named Jordan who came into our program as a freshman with walls sky high. He didn't talk much, kept his head down, and you could tell that he was carrying stuff, but he wasn't letting anyone in. Throughout his freshman year, me and the coaching staff, we just kept showing up for him. Simple things like checking in, encouraging him, and celebrating little wins. By his senior year, it turned out he was one of our captains, a completely transformed leader. And on his last meet, after his final swim, came up to me, gave me a hug, and said, "Thanks for never giving up on me, even when I was hard to reach." And that's what it's all about. Not every athlete is going to win a state title, but every athlete should leave your program feeling like they matter. So here's my challenge to you: coach to coach, mentor to mentor. This week, pick two athletes, just two, and ask them how they're doing, not how they're performing, how they're really doing. And listen, ask follow ups, and let them talk. You don't have to solve their problems. You just have to show them you care enough to ask. Because when we start coaching the person, we get something back that's even more powerful than wins. We earn trust. We build character. We shape future leaders. And that's what's going to be your legacy. Thanks again for spending some time today with me. If this episode hit home for you, share it with another coach or send it to a parent who might need to hear it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation. I'm Coach Kevin Pierce, and as always, I appreciate you.